Hello and welcome everyone to Kids for Ransom, the podcast where we expose the flaws, corruption, and systematic failures of the modern family court system.
We're just two everyday dads fighting for our kids and speaking out for parents across the country who are struggling to stay connected to their children.
In every episode, we'll dig into the real world scenarios, court documents, and personal stories that show us how the system is broken and how it's being used to hold our children hostage in legal battles that too often serve money and power, not families or justice.
We'll also break down the laws, policies, and court procedures that are being misused and or misunderstood, and we'll share the hard-earned lessons we've learned along the way.
Just to be clear, nothing we share should be taken as legal advice. We're not lawyers. We're parents, and we're here to inform, educate, bring awareness to the reality that too many families are facing.
If you'd like to follow our journey, hit that thumbs up and subscribe and hit that ping notification bell. Families are being broken in silence. It's time to pull back the curtain on family court and stand with parents and children being held for ransom.
All right, welcome back to Kids for Ransom. Today we have a discussion we want to have about something that's really affecting all of the court systems, but why you find that the courts in the family courts are making these unfair rulings, or obviously swaying things the other direction to kind of rip families apart. We want to talk about is Title 4D and all of its imposed taxation, we shall call it, on us citizens. And here to talk with us, Sam, on the corruption behind all of that.
Well, yeah, see, they want us to believe that these courts are making decisions with the best interest of the child in mind, and they'll use that phrase a lot. And after, we've both seen how bad these family courts operate, and they seem to create situations that harm the child a lot of the time. And some people will say they're broken, but once you learn about Title 4D and all the funding that the states receive through child support enforcement, it starts to look less like it's broken and like it's operating exactly how they want. Title 4D was created initially to get the money back from moms or dads that single moms or dads that have kids that end up on welfare or public assistance. So they created Title 4D to go after the biological father or sometimes mother, or to help recoup the costs that the state uses for all these public assistance programs and welfare. And so, when you hear that, it kind of sounds, makes sense, right? But when we look into the details of the funding that they receive through Title 4D, for me, it really starts to raise some red flags. And I kind of feel like it starts to really explain some of these decisions that they're making when it comes to custody, why they're finding these arbitrary reasons to withhold custody to a fit parent. Supreme Court case law has stated we have a natural right to parent our children, and case law like Santosky versus Kramer specifies that to remove a parenting right, there has to be strict scrutiny before that happens, and they have to use at least a clear and convincing evidentiary standard, which the family courts don't use, but they continually withhold custody using the lower preponderance of evidence standard, just like in both of our cases.
Yeah.
And so when we look at Title 4D, for every dollar that they're collecting in child support, the state, they're receiving 66 cents on the dollar in federal funding. So, when I first found this out, I looked it up, and or California collects, I think it's $3 billion a year in child support. So that right off the bat, that's $2 billion in federal funding.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop there. There's all kinds of factors in which they can get increased funding besides just the total amount collected. The arrears, they get a lot more money for the arrears. I have not been able to get exact numbers, but ranging
Yeah.
anywhere from a $1 to $1 match up to a 3-to-1 match for arrears. And
Which is
and that
really
makes
sickening because when you think about arrears, is that they charge an absurd amount of interest in like an interest fee on arrearage, which is actually over 10% per month. Now, I
yeah.
actually like sat there and done all the math on this, and it's like, and that's what I was getting charged. I'm like, this is preposterous, man. There isn't a credit card out there that you would pay that much money for an interest rate for your entire year. No, there's not.
And not only that, I know in my case, they really dragged their feet, and it took almost a year before they issued a child support order. But then
Mhm.
they retroactively set it back for that year. So then you have a year of child support payments they say that you're behind on. So,
Yeah.
you right off the bat, you're starting off 10, 20, maybe $30,000, depending on how much your child support is behind. And if you don't have that money to pay it up front, then they put you on a payment plan without you agreeing to it. And then they charge you 10% interest a month on this loan that you didn't agree to, you know?
Yeah.
And so
Mm.
but what's even weird recently, or multiple times now, so they put you on this payment plan. They say, okay, this is your past due amount. This is what you owe us. You're going to pay interest on it every month. And this will be how much you have to pay towards the arrears, this loan, every month. You can make those payments every month. Stay on top of it. You could even pay maybe a month ahead. And despite that, anytime there's arrears, DCSS can levy your account anytime you have arrears. And from what I've seen, it's about every 6 to 8 months. And this is even if you've made every child support payment, even if you've made every payment towards arrears.
Well,
If you owe money, they can levy your account at any time.
well,
Additionally,
what I found with what I found out about that is there's a number. There is a number. They don't just automatically do it. So when you're
they do.
actually,
No,
I think
no, they
it's
do.
$3,500. That $3,500 or more is
Yes.
when they would automatically go and then request of your bank to levy money or
Yeah, and that's
total.
combined account. So if you have two separate accounts, one with 2,000, another one with 2,000, that'll trigger it. But what I'm saying, this is besides that 3,500.
Yeah.
Every 6 to 8 months, if you owe arrears, at least this is what's been happening to me. They just did it. They just took my mortgage payment out of my account the second I got paid. I woke up, my paycheck hits at like midnight, 1 in the morning. I
Yeah.
woke up 6 in the morning. My account said zero, and they
That's
had levied
weird.
the account, and it was not over 3,500. So and I've talked to the gal that does the levies at DCSS and gotten information from her, and it's every 6 to 8 months.
You should be screaming at them that there's a breach of your privacy. So, see, this is breaking the law. I looked into that. This is breaking the law, and I had to actually scream at DCSS for doing such a thing where they just took money out of my account just because they knew that I had money in there.
Yeah,
And I know that in that process too was still actually like battling with the courts over what amount was actually owed. Um, but they had at least this amount in arrears. It was like, oh, 4,000 or something. But they were trying to pull this money out. And it was like, no, I didn't give you permission. You have no permission to go jump into my accounts. I'll have to find out what those arguments were because they were pretty strong to where they actually did put the money back into my account.
oh,
They
really?
transferred the money right back into my account. It was like,
Yeah.
all right, they're not gonna do that shit no more.
What's weird is, recently I started thinking about this when they last pulled, my paycheck out, my
Uh,
account there. And I thought, if they're making 10% a month in interest, why are they in such a hurry to levy my account, hurt me, hurt my ability to keep a roof and provide for my child when she's in my care? Like, why would they be so predatory with that? You know?
Good point.
And when you look into Title 4D, one of the metrics that's really important for them to, because there's all kinds of little things that they have to hit. It's not just the 66 cents on the dollar for every dollar that's paid. There's all these
Yeah.
other little things.
Yeah.
And to get the maximum funding for one particular area, they they have to collect 75% of arrears. So when they collect
Oh,
75% of arrears, so despite them making the 10%, so they must get a lot of money in order to meet that goal and collect 75% of arrears. Because that would clearly have to outweigh the money they're making, charging 10% interest a month on the arrears.
hmm. Okay,
And
that's making more sense now.
and clearly, I mean, just think about it. To take someone's whole paycheck out of their account when they've paid diligently every month on the agreed amount, and then to still have the risk, basically, you can't use a bank account. Your money's not safe if there's any arrears, you know? And how is that in the best interest of the child? It looks like it seems the way they enforce it a lot of the time, like they're trying to destroy one of the parents.
Yeah, and they always make this argument that the child support is going to the other parent for all these, technical expenses, which we know damn well. Hey, this is actually this is how coincidental here. This wonderful video that you've heard me talk about before, Darius, he actually even showed these little videos of these women actually put out about how they're spending that child support check. Nothing to do with the kid at all. About like going out to Vegas and wanting to go gamble, or wanting to go out to buy themselves a new Coach purse, or wanting to go out, and have a night out on the town with her friends. That's what they literally said. There's hundreds of
Yeah.
these videos.
Oh, yes, yes.
What
I've
they
seen a few of
said
those.
they were using that child support money for, and that they had plenty of money anyway to take care of the child.
Yeah, no, I know. It's clearly I mean, there should be, in my opinion, if the child support is supposed to be to care for the child, there should be some kind of reasonable cap on it. Just because someone makes, let's say they made $30,000 a month, doesn't mean they should pay 10,000 a month in child support. It doesn't cost $10,000 a month to raise a child. You can buy them new clothes every month and it doesn't cost that much.
That's right.
So
Oh, I
the
found that. I found
the
that
problem
department, by the way.
we have judges who work for the state, in our case, the state of California. Because of Title 4D, there is, in my opinion, a clear conflict of interest because they're working for the state, and when they withhold our parenting time, especially when you have a situation like mine where the other parent doesn't work, they refuse to work, they haven't complied with the seek work order, um, it creates a huge imbalance with earnings. So then I have to pay a ridiculous amount of child support. And therefore, they have an incentive to find a reason to withhold parenting time. And that makes it ripe for abuse through false allegations like we've seen, especially when you're using this preponderance of evidence standard that they seem to apply in a way that's even looser than it was intended. So, you know, when you look at Title 40 and all the money they're making, I mean, we're probably talking over $3 billion a year that California receives in federal funding for Title 4D. That's a lot of money, and it funds the whole court system itself. So you have these judges, all these clerks, and everyone. They all have a financial incentive to withhold parenting time, and I don't even know that it's necessarily done that consciously. I don't know. I've heard rumors that I don't know if this is true. I've not been able to verify it that uh, the judges' pensions are funded through Title 4D money. If
Yes.
that's the case, how is that not a conflict of interest? So the person
Yes.
to decide how much time you're allowed to spend with your child has this clear connection between how much money goes in their pension. So if that's true, that's a huge problem for me.
Yes, this
And,
is the
and it looks starts to make it look, if that's the case, it makes their decisions and they're violating your rights as a parent very calculated.
and this is where I was looking into was those branches of government. So I found what that one was called. So this is out of the Office of Child Support Services, the OCSS, which is a part of the executive branch. And now the executive branch is going to be funding, to which that is a uh, some type of organization, right? That which in this situation is the like DCSS Child Support Division, and the OCSS is located within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. That's the department I was talking to you about. This is the executive branch. So where it crosses over is the judicial branch handles the actual establishment and enforcement of the individual child support orders, you know, based on the laws. And so I think this is kind of where you're seeing that. Congress, who's a part of the legislative branch, has the power to create the laws, and then and like those that establish like the funding of child support programs. But then the executive branch, who working together with the uh, judicial branch, I think that's where the concept I think is a constitutional violation, uh, federal violation, where they're not to be doing that. And exactly what you said, it's like it's kind of incentivizing, you know, this whole separation of parenting time, just to be able to, well, as well as I guess the arrears, but yeah, it's incentivized to actually have this separation of children and parents.
Yeah, there's a clear connection between the amount of parenting time we get, and the less that is, the more money that the state gets through federal funding. It's very clear.
Yes, indeed. That be the
And
problem.
it starts to, and we've talked, like you said, we've seen all the videos where there's clearly some very very bad parents that are bragging about how much money they're getting in child support. One of the videos we recently saw, this gal, not only is she bragging about how much money she's getting, she's talking shit about the dad right in front of the child in
Right.
front of the back seat,
Oh,
dropping f bombs and everything.
on a video like on YouTube or something.
Yes,
Dude,
and it must have went viral for me to see it.
dude. I mean, that right there, I should have said, hey, getting right, I'm just filing me a motion, for modification of custody and child and visitation right now. That'd be like, that'd be a no-brainer win.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Except,
So I mean,
yeah,
it's
except we're
when
dealing with, corrupt courts and their, I don't know, their biasness, their incentivation, what do we call that? Their motive,
incentivizing.
their motive for getting funds through this whole child support program. So that's I guess it really wouldn't matter. Makes me
Well,
kind of
that's
worry. Makes me kind of think that's why the you can't count on the appellate court. Appellate
yeah,
court
yeah.
doesn't
Once again, the
care.
appellate court is part of the state, so they're operating from a position where they're part of the state essentially, and so therefore, being that they represent the state, their decisions affect the federal funding that the state's going to get. And clearly, in my opinion, it's not about the child anymore. This is about state revenue. That's why we named this podcast what we did.
Yeah.
They are holding our kids for ransom and using our kids for wealth distribution, for taxation. Like we don't pay enough taxes in this country as it is. I mean, it's getting out of control. And like you said earlier, um, they not all of the money that they collect in child support, especially when you have a parent that is on public assistance, welfare, something like that.
Yeah.
So the whole child support payment doesn't go towards that parent. First, the state collects the money that they used for that public assistance towards that parent. And then they give that parent the difference. And then they receive the 66 cents on the dollar in federal funding. So they don't recoup their losses from the public assistance that they offer through the federal funding. They recoup it first through the child support payment between parents. And then they
Mhm.
pay that other parent the difference. Then they take the full amount of that 66 cents on the dollar and then all the other federal funding that they get through the collection of the arrears, hitting that target of 75% collection of the arrears that are owed. I know that they get increased funding when their child support collection amounts go up every year. So they have an incentive to just keep increasing. They're not going to just keep it status quo of like, hey, we're collecting $2 billion a year. That's pretty good. That's more than enough to fund the whole family court system, the judges, potentially the pensions, if that's true. But they always want more. I mean, I guess that's human nature, right?
Well, yeah, yeah. Everyone wants more, right? Well, here's a question for you. What do you think happens like when they have a child support payment that's supposed to be issued, you don't go and pay it. Now, does the other parent actually just are they getting then the money from like the child support division, or child support services? Are they actually getting money from them anyway, and then just putting
That's
you into a rearage? Or do you
I
think that
don't,
they're
that's a
like
good
not?
question. That's something I don't know because I've never been in a position to receive child support. In my situation, I likely never will.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean,
even
I say this, I don't know for a fact, but this is kind of why I wanted to ask you because with my ex, I've asked her at times, like, did she get her child support, the full amount? And she tells me that, yeah, I got the full amount. And what I thought about one time is that I knew I hadn't paid it yet. And
yeah,
I was like, well, that's weird. It's like, so she already got it. But then I was like, I know I went and paid it anyway. But the fact that she said that before I went to go pay it is where that's why I kind of questioned this whole thing. Like, is maybe they're paying them before we even actually pay it.
I've kind of wondered that, and I suspected that was probably the case. Otherwise, why would they be charging you interest? Because if you don't make a payment for a month, that adds to your arrears, and then you're
Yeah.
charging interest on it. How could they
Yeah.
charge you interest on it if they didn't essentially give the loan, pay that money out to someone on your behalf?
Yeah.
That would be, I mean, that'd be fraud, would it not?
Yeah.
If you didn't make a payment and then they made your essentially your loan, the
Yeah.
balance go up and charge you interest on that, but yet that's just a magic number. You know, like they didn't pay someone, how are they charging you interest on that?
Hey man,
So
talking
yeah,
about interest. What about that thing I told you about a while back? You go to court and these guys owe you money. Why are we not getting interest? I should be asking DCSS like, yo, you owe me 23% this month because you actually were taking more money than you were supposed to, or you
yeah.
owed me money, kind of thing like that. I just got a check from them. I don't even understand this one. They gave me money back. And I'm like, how could you give me money back? Like, I don't
You
even
had
understand.
to
I don't
pay,
understand why
right?
they would even do that. First of all, because like that doesn't make sense. They're gonna give me money back when they obviously they'd want to be able to keep all that money, right? And I know
Yeah.
that I'm not over. I'm not over on my child support. So
You never
that can't
called them
be.
to try to find out. I mean, I guess you kind of just in that situation you
I
don't want to say,
hate.
right? Maybe it
I
was a
just
mistake.
Yeah, I just hate talking to them, period, man. I've gotten
Yeah.
in fights with them to where I can't even get past the first initial phone screener. I just had it with them. I'm like, you're asking me all these questions. I don't have to answer. Just get me in contact with some freaking representative. I don't need to answer all your ridiculous questions. Like, yeah, I mean, they really want to like, let's just make sure that we catch up on everything that where are you working? Oh, this and that and this and that. Your birthday. Oh my God, dude. No, no, no. Bye. No, I don't give a crap. So anyway, yeah, that's the kind of the thing. Those are the kind of things that just make me go, because yeah, what you're saying entirely is true. Like this is definitely like a money making scheme, but then at the same time, like they'd be doing things like this where, I mean, you're handing me a check, but then you'll take money from my account without asking, knowing that there's not a reason for you to even do it, kind of thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, until like we've talked about, we sit here and watch these decisions that these judges are making in regards to custody. They blatantly ignore the fact that we have a constitutional right under the First and 14th Amendment to parent our children. And there's plenty of case law to support the fact that um, strict scrutiny must take place before limiting that right. But they don't follow that at all. They blatantly ignore that. In fact, I mean, you get a really negative response from them if you try to invoke your First and 14th Amendment right to parent your children. In fact, I had written testimony that I'd filed with the court, and at one of the trials, mom's attorney brought that document out, despite the fact that it was not related to the scope of what we were in trial for, and used that to try to ask me questions about what I wrote in there, invoking my First and 14th Amendment right to parent my child, and saying that the court overstepped its authority when removing custody in the situation that they did. And she questioned me about this, despite the fact that it's not related to the scope of the motion, strictly to prejudice the judge, because she knows they're going to react and make a ruling against me because of their own prejudice. Otherwise, why else would she bring that line of questioning up? She's aware of how the system operates.
Yeah, they've been
So
fairly
you know,
disciplined.
until we remove the financial incentive for the state to alienate parents from their child and to violate their rights, I don't know that we're going to see any real positive change in these courts. It's kids for cash, and they gaslight us by telling us that they're making orders in the best interest of the child, while they make billions of dollars for the state.
Yeah. Even if it's a small amount, you notice even when you're like, notice when you don't, if you don't have a job, right? So you've just been unemployed for whatever, a little while. They'll still notice that they'll still demand child support payments from you. Like, like I can't go to zero. That would never happen. They would
They don't,
actually,
but
huh?
why isn't it that they don't make the other parent work? In my case, the other parent's not working.
Oh,
Family Code
yes.
3900 specifically states that both parents have an equal financial responsibility to provide for the child.
Yes, good
So
point.
that's why there's a seek work order, but they don't
Touch
enforce
on
it. And why don't
touch
they
on that
enforce
one.
it? Because that'll interrupt their federal funding.
Right.
I mean, to me, that's clear proof that there's a conflict of interest here. Otherwise, why would the judge not enforce, hey, mom, like you need to go get a job too? Dad shouldn't be the only one paying for the child. He's not your cash cow.
Yeah, those that just sit at home, reap the benefits. This, I mean, I've had too many stories of that same exact thing. And it's they don't care like if somebody else is paying for all their living, well, guess what? That seems to suffice for the court. Hey, they're getting,
You mean
they're
like if you get find a new spouse or a new fiance or something and they're paying all the bills? I
it
mean,
could be so it could be their parents.
Yeah. No, I think that's what's happening in my case because my daughter's mom has a big old rock on her finger,
Yeah.
and I've heard from mutual acquaintances, I guess we'll say, that
Yeah.
clearly not that he has a business, I guess, so he must make a decent amount of money. So here in my situation, we have I have a pretty decent union job, and I make what should be a decent wage in California,
Yeah.
and but I have to pay this ridiculous amount of child support because she's not working, and but somehow I can no longer afford an attorney, but she can here, even after 2.5 years of litigation. So with no job, she can still afford an attorney, but wait, she needs child support. And
Mhm.
on top of that, signs her up for ballet and soccer and all these activities,
Right.
and
Yes.
puts her in a private school.
Yes.
This does not sound like the financial decisions of someone who does not have access to money.
Right.
Paper, they don't have a job. Oh, I don't have any income. And the state goes along with it. I mean, because I can't help but feel like if Title 4D was removed and the state stopped receiving the federal funding through child support,
Mhm.
are they going to keep making the same rulings? Or maybe they'd say, okay, hey, mom, yeah, I think it is time for you to get a job. It's
Yeah.
time for you to contribute. This isn't the 1950s. The man's not the only one that can provide for the child. What happened to strong and independent women? Where did that
Right.
go?
Right. Shoot, I thought women actually had the independence now. I thought women's rights gave them now opportunity to hell, even make a hell of a lot more money than me and you. Apparently, just words out there, a little birdie throwing it out there is women are able to just get on a damn YouTube or TikTok and apparently just shake a shake and next thing you know they make more money than you and me maybe in fucking years.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell
Uh,
me, I don't ever want to hear this bullshit. Women can't fucking make money. I don't ever want to hear that bullshit.
oh, yeah. I mean, come on. We know that this is clearly not the 1950s. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, more women graduate college right now than men.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
And
See that statistic.
yeah, it's just it's sad that the state intervenes, says that they have to decide the best interest of the child. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there's case law that even sets a precedence that that there's a presumption
Yeah.
as a fit parent that if we haven't been ruled to be a fit parent, that a decision that we make is in the best interest of our child. But once again, they ignore all these.
Hmm. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So it's
That's the other thing. Uh, yeah. So yeah, touching on that, you were talking about one of the like if one of the parents who just sits at home and so they get things paid for them. This was interesting because I mean I had the same thing in my case, and I think you just said, and also Justin that we know. Uh, I think he was talking about something about like this, but like how the parent could just be like literally just sitting there doing nothing but getting things paid for them, but yet you, if you were not making much money, they would still be coming after you, and they could show that all of these things are being paid for by somebody else, though they don't have a job, and yet all these things are getting paid for, and yet they're still requiring that you go and pay to this woman, which
yeah,
I'll know that makes absolutely no sense at all, right? But you cannot ever go to court and tell the judge, well, Your Honor, apparently she's being provided for by another man
yeah,
that's taking care of the foundation of one, the home to stay there, right? And he agreed apparently to take that responsibility by moving in with them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and here's the deal. It's not even that he should be paying for all that. The problem is the child support
no.
numbers they're ordering for us to pay
Yeah.
is not just the cost of putting clothes on the child, paying for necessities for school, or some toys and food and stuff like that. The
No.
numbers that they order for child support seems like they're expecting that to pay for rent and all these
Yeah.
other things that a fit parent, in my opinion, a fit parent should be able to provide on their own.
Right.
So it's not like even if she is, let's say her fiance's paying the mortgage, she don't got to pay nothing. Paying all the utilities, she don't got to pay nothing. I don't expect that I shouldn't have to pay any child support.
Right. No, I
I don't
am definitely
pay
not saying
something
that.
to help cover the cost of clothes and food, and some of the basic necessities. Should mom maybe also have, due to Family Code 3900, should she also have a responsibility to also provide? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But the problem is the numbers that they're making you pay clearly are designed to also pay for her rent. But why isn't she as
Yeah.
involved for that herself? And once again, if the state wasn't making the federal funding that they are through Title 4D, they probably would have a way different opinion on this. I mean, at my 3044 trial, um, the judge was actually a child support judge normally. He was a commissioner actually, but he normally worked in child support. And at this trial, mom's attorney was making a whole bunch of arguments saying that I won't give her money for valet and all these other things, because despite me having to pay this astronomical number in child support that's causing financial hardship that I showed to the court, um, despite me having to pay that, the assumption is that she should be able to go sign her up for any activity she wants, and I should have to pay in addition to the child support that I'm also paying every month. And so they're making these arguments really just to prejudice the judge against me.
Yeah.
And he did kind of blow him off for the most part. But, at some point in the trial that day, I remember him. I think I had mentioned the fact that she's ignoring a seek work order for almost 2 years now. And I think he made some kind of argument, basically taking the stance that, well, she's got majority custody and she's got to drop the child off at school and take care of the child. And, that's essentially a full time job. I guess trying to make the argument that, and not to say clearly, we're both parents. We know how much work goes into
Yeah.
raising a parent for a child. I get it. It's a lot of work, but it's the most satisfying thing in life.
Yeah.
And the problem is when he takes that position that, oh, well, because she has majority custody in my situation 5 days a week, that she doesn't have time to have a job, that is a slap in the face to every woman or father out there that has sole custody 100% of their children and
Yeah.
still hold down a job.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that do that. So for him to take that position that because she has 5 days a week of custody, she doesn't have time to have a job as well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's yeah, that's that whole them getting a job thing. I was lucky enough to actually have a commissioner who got promoted as a judge. The last one actually just created a number that might
Yeah,
they imposed a number right on what she made. This is the problem I'm sure a lot of parents are dealing with is like a certain other parent and ex who actually works for themselves, and then they're reporting that they make like nothing, right? Like they make hardly any money at all, but when really they're banking. So that's kind of an interesting it's a fraud. But
yeah,
yeah, anyway. Well, I think that pretty much covers it. And I think that, we've kind of hopefully educated and gave some clarity on the Title 4D and all of its the misuse of the child support as it was originally used, for those who actually couldn't pay for anything. And now they've
yeah,
used it as let's make money for the court system and all of its constituents. So,
yeah. It's a form of
well,
wealth distribution and extra taxation for the state.
yeah, yeah. So, all right, well, we'll catch up on another episode here shortly, and you all have a good rest of the week.
Yeah, take it easy.